Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy the content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks to everyone for your support. Alright, folks, you won't believe this, but I have to share this crazy story. For privacy, I'll use fake names, but here's how it all went down. 2 months into our marriage, I started having this strange feeling that something wasn't right. Call it intuition or a gut feeling, but something just felt off. My wife, Alicia, and I had always been inseparable, best friends even before we tied the knot. But one evening, she casually mentioned she was heading to our local store. No big deal, right? Before she left, I sent her a quick text. "I'm stepping out for a bit. Might not be home when you get back, but I won't be long." She didn't reply, but that happens, right? People miss texts all the time. Here's where it gets weird. As I was driving past the store, her car wasn't there. I tried not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she parked in the back or had gone somewhere else. I finished my errand and drove home, still not seeing her car anywhere. That's when my instincts really started buzzing. Back at home, I called her several times, no answer. Worried, I even called her mom. Yeah, I know it might seem extreme, but I didn't know what else to do. Eventually, Alicia called me back. She sounded flustered and explained that she had stopped by a friend's house after the store and her text didn't go through. I wasn't entirely convinced, but I let it slide for the time being. Fast forward a few days and my suspicions hadn't eased. I decided to install a dash cam in her car. I told her it was for safety reasons because of some recent accidents in the area. Between you and me, though, I just needed to know what was really going on. She didn't question it much. I assured her it was just a basic camera. A few days later, Alicia went out, and the footage from her first trip was totally normal. But the second time she went out, oh boy, the video showed her pulling up to this rundown house. A man stepped out to greet her, just an average-looking guy. Honestly, I burst out laughing at first. Of all the people she could have been sneaking around with, it was him? It almost felt like a bad joke. No offense to the guy, but I always imagined that if Alicia ever considered someone else, it'd be someone straight out of a Hollywood movie or something. But after the laughter wore off, the anger hit me. Grabbing my largest baseball bat, yes, I know it was an overreaction, I drove straight to that house. I pounded on the door, and when it opened, I was greeted by the guy, looking scruffy and wary. "Can I help you?" he asked, clearly uneasy. "Are you serious?" I barked, sizing him up. "You're the one." At that moment, Alicia appeared behind him. Her face was pale as a sheet. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "You know damn well why I'm here," I growled. The guy looked between us, recognition dawning on his face. "Oh, you're the husband," he mumbled, stepping back cautiously. I scoffed, tightening my grip on the bat. Alicia stepped forward, her hands raised like she was trying to defuse a bomb. "Lucas, please. Let's just talk." Her words hit me like a slap in the face, and something inside me snapped. Without thinking, I grabbed the guy by the collar and dragged him off the porch into the yard. "What's your deal, man?" he shouted. Trying to pull away, I kept a firm grip on his shirt. "You really have no idea, do you?" My voice dripped with contempt. Before he could answer, Alicia rushed out of the house, her face pale and her eyes wide with shock. "Lucas," she cried, running toward us. I ignored her, keeping my attention locked on the man. She reached us, her voice desperate. "Lucas, please. This isn't the way to handle this." I didn't budge, tightening my grip on the guy's shirt. "Stay away from my wife," I growled. The man, trying to maintain his composure, replied, "Had I known, I would have stayed far away. Trust me." I wanted to believe him, but my world had already been shattered. The anger, the sense of betrayal, it consumed me entirely. Still, I knew that violence wasn't the answer. After a few tense moments, I released him, giving him a slight shove. "This isn't over," I warned, my voice icy and firm. He rubbed his neck, and nodded slowly, understanding. Alicia, her face streaked with tears, reached out to me. "Lucas, please, let's just go home," she pleaded. But in that moment, the idea of home felt so distant, lost in the whirlwind of lies and deception. The air between us was thick with tension as I finally turned to face her. I could see the pain in her eyes, but my heart was too cold, too hardened by betrayal to truly feel it. "We're going home," I said flatly, my words carrying an unspoken finality. Her voice trembled as she responded, "Lucas, please, can we just talk about this?" "Talk!" I shot back, gesturing to the rundown house behind her. "Is that what you were doing here?" The accusation hung heavily between us. "I never meant for this to happen," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Save it," I snapped, cutting her off. "I'll be home. You need to pack your things." The unspoken meaning was clear. I wasn't about to let this go without consequences. Alicia looked like she wanted to say something more, to plead or explain herself. But in the face of my hardened demeanor, her words faltered. I walked away, leaving her standing there in the yard, the weight of our crumbling marriage pressing down on both of us. As I drove away, the full reality of the situation began to sink in. Our love, once so strong and passionate, was now tainted by distrust and hurt. There were decisions to be made and emotions to confront. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The aftermath was swift. I told Alicia to pack up and go stay with her mom. I even arranged for an Uber to pick her up. I didn't let her take the car since I had paid for it. Yeah, a week later, I went that far. She received a neat little surprise from me, divorce papers. Life is truly strange, isn't it? The person you trust the most can just throw everything away. Sometimes, all you can do is laugh at how absurd it all is. Update. Hey everyone, Lucas here. Never thought I'd be sharing this, but I think it's important to keep you all in the loop after the emotional roller coaster I've been on. To say the last few months have been a nightmare would be an understatement. If you remember my last post about confronting Alicia's affair partner, things took an even darker turn. After our confrontation, emotions were running high, and Alicia and I were on the brink of divorce. But then something happened that I never could have predicted. I was hit with a charge I never saw coming. The charge? RW. Yes, you read that right. My own wife accused me of a heinous crime. The allegation came as a complete shock. The thought that someone I had trusted so deeply could stoop so low was devastating. Then came the day I'll never forget that Alicia's lawyer, a sharply dressed woman with piercing eyes, walked confidently to the front of the courtroom. Her smug expression told me she thought this case was already won. She presented what she called irrefutable evidence, a torn piece of clothing. Holding it up, she declared, "This, ladies and gentlemen, proves the violent nature of the encounter." The courtroom buzzed with murmurs, and I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me. Judgment hung thick in the air, but I stayed calm. I had something they didn't expect, an ace up my sleeve. My lawyer, always composed, requested a brief moment to confer. Then he presented our evidence. Video footage from our home security system. The video, recorded weeks before the alleged incident, showed Alicia accidentally catching that very piece of clothing on a nail in the hallway, tearing it. The courtroom fell silent. After what felt like an eternity, the verdict was read, not guilty. Relief washed over me, but not without scars. The accusations had taken a heavy toll on my reputation, my friendships, and my mental health. Still, in the end, the truth prevailed. As for the divorce, the court ruled against awarding Alicia any alimony, given the circumstances and her false accusations. She wasn't entitled to a dime. Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents, probably trying to pick up the pieces of her life. Since then, life has been a mix of rebuilding and healing. Some days are tougher than others, but with time, I'm hopeful I can leave this chapter behind and start fresh. Comments: Wow, Lucas, I just read through your entire ordeal, and I must say, it's been quite the journey. First and foremost, I'm truly sorry for the heartbreak you've endured. No one should have to go through such betrayal, especially when false allegations can destroy a person's reputation. That said, I'd advise against acting purely on emotion, as it often makes things worse. While it's understandable to feel hurt and want answers, maybe confronting Alicia's affair partner with a baseball bat wasn't the best approach. Finding neutral ground to talk things through or seeking therapy might have been a better first step. Wishing you strength and peace as you move forward. Lucas, man, I felt every word you wrote. Betrayal, especially from someone you loved and trusted, hits like a punch to the gut. I can't even imagine the whirlwind of emotions you went through, but I commend you for standing your ground in court. It's important to remember, though, that retaliation can lead us down paths we regret. The dash cam and confronting her affair partner might have felt satisfying, but it escalated things and could have made the situation worse. Going forward, I hope you find healthier ways to deal with the hurt and move on positively. Reading your post, Lucas, was heartbreaking. While I'm relieved you were exonerated in court, the entire situation highlights how crucial communication is in relationships. It seems like mistakes were made on both sides. While some actions can't be excused, it's worth considering how things might have turned out differently with more open communication. Instead of surveillance and confrontation, talking things through sooner might have changed the course of events. Healing is a journey, and while it's okay to feel anger and hurt, it's also important to find forgiveness, not for her, but for your own peace. Lucas, chill with the bats, man. Anyway, what do you all think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.